Every year we deal with around about 260,000 tonnes of waste in Wiltshire. Each household produces on average a tonne of waste a year. Now the government is trying to reduce the amount that we send to landfill.
The first cost measure that the government has brought in is called the Landfill Tax, and that's charged on every tonne that we landfill. In fact, it's probably more than the operational cost of putting the material into the landfill. The second measure is something called the Landfill Allowances trading scheme, and that's a scheme that controls the amount of biodegradable waste. When waste that will break down quickly in the landfill, what we call biodegradable waste, that's things like garden waste, food waste or paper or card. When that goes into the landfill, it breaks down in the absence of oxygen and produces methane. Now methane is a gas which is very potent in causing global warming. The council has given an allowance each year and that allowance reduces, so we know, for example, that our allowance in about 10 years' time will be about 20% of what it is at the moment. So we have to very quickly reduce the amount that we're landfilling. And the real killer punch there is if we go over our limit for landfilling, we pay a fine of £150 a tonne, which is additional to the landfill tax.
One of the problems is that we've got a decreasing amount that we can actually put into landfill. So our overall approach is to follow a hierarchy of how we dispose of the waste. At the top of the hierarchy, we want to promote the message about reducing the amount of waste that we have to deal with in the first place. The second priority is to reuse waste wherever possible, and the third priority is to recycle as much as we can so that it doesn't go into landfill. We work with the Wiltshire Wildlife Trust on those 3 R's, reduce, reuse, recycle. That is our waste minimisation message. We have various different campaigns that we've been promoting, like the Love Food Hate Waste campaign, where we try and encourage householders to use their food less wastefully so that they don't buy so much and throw it out, that they use their leftovers. The Wildlife Trust promotes the use of home composters, the use of reusable nappies, sustainable shopping, and they also do a lot of educational programmes with children in schools around Wiltshire.
Well, this is a kind of an eco version of that, so what are you trying to do in school?
We have food waste digesters as well, which means that people can deal with all their household food waste at home. We try to encourage householders to reuse as much of their waste as they can. For someone who wants to get rid of a wardrobe or a sofa, that might actually be a resource for somebody else. So we encourage people to use charities and people like Refurbies. Then after reuse comes recycle, and that's where the council tax really steps in, because that's where we put a huge amount of investment into the facilities and services to help householders recycle as much as they can. So we've got the household recycling centres where you can recycle over 3 dozen different kinds of waste items. We've got local mini recycling sites where you can also recycle your household waste, and then the black box recycling service. After reduce, reuse and recycle is the 4th R, which is recovery, where we aim to recover value from the waste that we're having to handle. So from 2009, Wiltshire will be sending some of its waste to a waste-to-energy plant, and that's where the waste will be burnt safely and energy will be recovered from that process, and it will be fed into the national grid and give electricity to households.
And we're at the moment talking with our neighbours, Swindon Borough Council, who are facing similar problems, and therefore we're working together to see whether we can develop a further waste treatment facility somewhere in the area in the longer term.
The last option is to put the waste into landfill. And we're doing really well in Wiltshire. In the last 5 years we've doubled our recycling rate, and we're in the top quarter of all authorities for our recycling performance.
We'll be wanting to increase our waste reduction and minimisation efforts. We'll be wanting to increase our recycling and composting performance, but also we'll be wanting to send more of our waste for other forms of treatment.